If you have a house to sell or you are buying a house, here are some myths that really need to be dispelled in the real estate industry. So listen up, let's talk about this, because there's just things that I see that are happening that the public needs to know about. So listen in. The first one is there is a lawsuit going on. I'm surprised about how many people don't know about it, but I'm not going to get into the lawsuit or the specifics of the lawsuit or whether it's right or wrong or what everybody thinks about it. But the public should know that there is a lawsuit going on against the National Association of Realtors. And if you want more information on the lawsuit and the specifics of it, Google it. But it's funny because like this weird thing is happening in the world where the public doesn't have this information. Like I talk to people about it and so many people, like some people are like, yeah, I kind of know, like something is going on. Some people are like, I have no idea. But I think the majority of people don't know that this is happening, and it's pretty impactful if you are buying or selling real estate soon. The other thing that's kind of funny is realtors aren't really talking about this, right? So I am a realtor. I'm sort of like a hybrid. So I have a company, I buy houses, I list houses if we don't come to an agreement of how much I can buy the house for. So I will use everything that I learned through all of my years of buying and selling over 400 houses, and I will lend that expertise to you. Everything that I learned from working with realtors, from not working with realtors, I will give to you. So that is what I do. That's my career, and I've learned so much. And it's funny because this lawsuit is not being talked about very much with realtors or the general public, but it's really impactful, and it's really going to change the way that real estate is done going forward. And I think a lot of realtors are really just trying to stay the same, and just they're in denial. They're just like, this is not happening. They aren't talking about it. They are just doing the same things that they always did. So that's something that the public really needs to know about, because it's going to impact the things, the way that houses are bought and sold. And it does go into some of the other myths that I wanted to dispel on this video. And the second one is paying a real estate commission. So this is what the lawsuit was about. Typically, the commissions were either 5 or 6% or somewhere in the middle. That's how it's been for as long as I've been in real estate, which has been all of my adult life. And that's how it's always been. And this was not being clearly explained to the public. So that's what the lawsuit is about. It's the general gist of it. If you want more information on the lawsuit itself, go ahead and Google, because there's just tons of information all over the place. And speaking about commissions, it is, in my opinion and in my expertise, it is not necessary to pay a buyer's agent commission in this current market that South Jersey is experiencing. It was, let's just use a 6% commission. It was 3% to the buyer's agent, 3% to the seller's agent, but the seller paid for everything. So they paid the whole 6%. And honestly, in this marketplace, buyers are going to find you. So when I first started, agents controlled the marketplace. If you wanted to know what was for sale, you would go to a real estate agent, you would sit down in their office, and they would show you a big book of what was available on the market. And there was just one black and white picture on it and a small little paragraph about what it was about. But now you can go on Zillow, you can go on Realtor.com, whatever your preferred app is, and you can find the houses yourself. So buyers are doing that. They are not on apps looking for real estate agents. They are on apps looking for houses. So buyer's agents cannot keep a buyer from finding your house. So a buyer is going to find your house regardless, as long as you price your house correctly, prepare it in the way that my prior videos have taught you how to prepare your house, and do everything that I do as a listing agent to prepare your house and really put it in the best spotlight whatsoever. You are going to be receiving multiple offers on your house in South Jersey. That's with a buyer's agent or without a buyer's agent, because buyers are finding your house regardless. I don't think it's a necessity in this marketplace. If you list with me, then I will handle both sides of the transaction with no extra cost. It really isn't that much for me to handle a buyer. It certainly isn't worth 2.5% or 3%. So it's not that much work for me to handle a buyer. So I don't upcharge, I don't have an extra cost. I just represent the buyer, and there is no extra cost to the buyer or to you. It's also a great way to market your home that your house already has the real estate commission covered, because in this new world that we are going into that begins in mid-August, the lawsuit has determined that there is a new rule that buyers have to pay their own buyer's agent. Now, with that being said, there are so many things that are up in the air about it. That is a very broad statement, and things are changing all the time. So right now, it's still legal for a seller to pay a buyer's agent, but there is no stipulation that that's how it has to be. And I know agents are like, oh, it was never like that. But it wasn't clearly explained to sellers or buyers. That's where the problem was. If you are listing your house, then I would recommend just paying your listing agent, price it right, get the house ready, get it so it appeals to a lot of different buyers, and I will teach you how to do that, and then put it on the market, and you will have tons of offers. You don't have to pay a buyer's agent commission, in my opinion, and that's what most people are choosing. And a part of this lawsuit is that if the commissions are totally decoupled, then the buyers will have to pay their own buyer's agent. So buyer's agents are going to be going right to listing agents and choosing to be unrepresented or doing dual agency. And this is really, like, everything is so up in the air right now, but I really think that people need to know about this. And I created this channel to give consumers, like, I'm really consumer facing. I don't talk to agents on this channel. I talk to the consumers. I think agents may listen to this too, and hopefully they can learn along the way too, because what I do is very different than any other agent that I've met before, where I buy houses, I make offers on your property, and if it can't be accepted, then we'll go ahead and list it. So I do something that's very different and sort of out of the box. So maybe some agents do listen to me, but I'm very consumer facing, and I really try to reach the consumer with the best information possible. So with that being said, buyers, if you are buying a house, the best thing for you to do is to go to the listing agent to make your offer. There are tons of offers on houses in South Jersey. There are at least 3 to 5 offers. Sometimes it's 20 and even 30 offers that are on each house still, even in this marketplace, even with the rate increase. So buyers, you are going to have a better chance of getting that offer accepted if you go right to the buyer's agent. And the reason for that is because, and I'm going to make a whole video about dual agency that will be coming up in the next couple weeks. But here's the thing. When you go to a listing agent to make your offer, the sellers have trust in this listing agent. The whole transaction goes more smoothly if you just have less people involved. I learned a lot about dual agency. I learned a lot about how to do it in a very effective way when I worked in new construction, and I was working for both the builder and the buyer. So I have done tons of dual agency because I also buy and sell all of my own houses, and I have done dual agency on all of them as well. So I'm very highly experienced in dual agency. I'm a big advocate of dual agency. I know a lot of agents are out there like, oh, dual agency, you cannot represent 2 people at one time. However, in this marketplace, I just wonder how they are really representing the buyer, because buyers, it's a seller's market. Buyers are, I can't imagine what they think that they are doing to really protect buyers in this marketplace, because it's kind of like make your highest offer, waive inspections, have an appraisal gap, and you're not really negotiating with the seller to get that offer accepted. So it's better, in my opinion, to go to the listing agent. In buying all of my houses, that's what I do. I go to the listing agent, and I always have. I haven't had a buyer's agent that would work on my behalf, because I've, even not in this marketplace, I've always gotten my offers accepted, more than likely, if I go to the listing agent. Okay, so the other thing that I want to talk about is fallout. So I've mentioned this in prior videos. We are experiencing so much fallout right now. That is the biggest problem with getting your house to closing, is people are just throwing out these wild offers, like way above asking, or waiving appraisals or waiving inspections, and then it sinks in that their offer was accepted and they're scared and they just go bye-byes and they just don't want anything to do with it. They cancel the contract and it's over with and the house goes back on the market. So you can probably see what that's doing to your bottom line dollar, as when you have a house that sits longer on the market and the days on market increases, the desirability decreases. So not only in choosing the buyers that you work with, but also having fallout protection protocol, which I will teach you about, will help you to net the highest bottom dollar. So there's important things that you need to do from contract to closing that will help you to preserve your wealth and preserve how much money that you get at the settlement table. Speaking of dual agency, so dual agency, just an explanation of it, it's when one agent handles both sides of the transaction. So they are handling both the seller and the buyer. I personally love dual agency. It's just so much easier for me to do it that way because there's less cooks in the kitchen and things just get done a more streamlined way. I've gone through entire transactions where the buyer's agent was totally just gone and the buyers had to come to me for help during the transaction. So they literally got a check at closing and they weren't even there. They showed the house, they made the offer, I did the contract, I did everything. I literally did everything through the whole entire transaction. It happens. And that's when dual agency became a favorite of mine. I like other agents. I like interacting with other agents. I'm very supportive of women, especially. I do a lot for women in the investing space. I do a lot for women in the real estate space, and I do a lot for women in the business space as a whole. So I love working with other people. Sometimes that agent will drop out entirely or just sort of not really be present during the transaction. I'm handling it all anyway, and they get half of the commission. So it just makes sense for me to just get paid as a listing agent, and then I'll take on the buyers for free. So with dual agency, sellers trust the listing agent. They will listen to the listing agent. The transaction goes so much more smoothly. The seller actually hired the seller's agent to do the transaction. They didn't hire the buyer's agent, which is why it doesn't make sense for them to pay a buyer's agent. And on top of it all, you can get buyers without them having to pay a buyer's agent. So if they have to come up out of pocket to pay the buyer's agent, they will have less money to put down on your house and a lot less wiggle room as far as repairs and things like that. So during the home inspections, if there's a repair that comes up and you as the seller don't want to make the repair, they're going to have less money in their pocket if they are paying a buyer's agent. So dual agency, in my opinion, makes more sense. And lastly, the public needs to know that there are multiple ways to sell your house. It's not just always a listing. Actually, a listing is probably what I do if there's no other option. So first, I exhaust all other options that can really net the sellers the highest amount of money. So I will make multiple offers, including some seller finance offers, cash offers, and I sort of just customize a solution for them. And if a listing ends up working best, then we'll go ahead, stage the house. I will teach them how to prepare their house for sale, how to price their house correctly to get the multiple offers, and that is going to cost the seller. See, it's hard for me to make a prescription right here on a YouTube video because I really take a look at so many different factors. So sometimes a seller can net a higher amount by not listing it. Sometimes they can net a higher amount by listing it. So there are so many different factors involved. That's why I make prescriptions. I formulate a plan for each seller. I take a look at the condition of the home, their tax situation. Is there going to be a taxable event caused by the sale? What is their wealth situation? Where are they planning to put the money once they are done selling the house and they go to settlement and they get a bulk sum? So there are so many different little things that come into play here that I really just customize the solution. So it's hard for me to say, is it better to sell the house on the market? Is it better to sell the house off the market? So anyway, thank you for listening to this. I hope it was helpful. And if you have any questions, I can be reached at the contact information in the description. And I'm happy to help you sell your house. And I'm happy to sell your house and help you to net the highest dollar. So thanks for being a part of this channel. If you like this video and you subscribe to my channel, it does help a lot. And it helps to get the information out there to more people. So thank you for being part of this with me. If you have any questions, let me know. Thank you.